All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Oh, thank you all. It is a delight on a Friday to be with you, and I am buoyed and encouraged and humbled by your recorded applause. Hello. We have an insanely good show today, and I'm really excited to get it started. An insanely busy work. Yes, you've seen the new cardigan is available at getmarkmerch.com. The cardigan, the knitted cardigan, and has the it's just a beautiful embroidery. It's really something quite special. The logo, since the production of this, we order all this stuff so that we can see how it looks. And we've moved the logo up, and we've made it smaller. So the cardigan that you get will likely be even nicer than the one I'm wearing. Although if you got one like the one I'm wearing, it's something of a collector's item because very few in existence. As I say, the logo is moving up. Kim is here.
Kim, how are you?
I cannot keep this cardigan on, Kim, because it's very warm.
Oh, you look like
But it's
Mr.
the perfect
Rogers.
thing for the coming fall season and the winter time. It's got a Mr. Rogers quality to it, I'll agree. And we found the one guy who doesn't like Mr. Rogers.
That's not what I said.
Believe it or not. Yeah, anyway. I didn't think that was possible, that you'd find somebody who doesn't like Mr. What's not to like?
It was a shocking revelation, honestly.
It was. How dare you, Tony?
It just was a bit too slow. Even as a kid, I just was like,
Oh,
I gotta
and
go.
now- this is when you put on your other sweater now and you change your tennis shoes.
Yes, that's right.
Who are the people in
There
your
was a
neighborhood?
campaign. You probably don't remember this, Kim. You're too young. But there was a campaign, a beautiful, big campaign when I was in the Bay Area. I did something called neighborhood weather. I just created this thing. Now it might exist in other markets now, but there was nothing like it at the time. It was pre-internet, pre-email. People would send in pictures of themselves, their family, their neighborhood, whatever it might be, a little description of why we should do the weather from their neighborhood, and we would actually go out and do the weather in their neighborhood. So it was called Neighborhood Weather. They did a whole campaign around. We had drinking glasses, a bunch of merch with it. It was really kind of fun. And they did a blitz on television with this commercial, and I come in just like Mr. Rogers. That's what made me think of it. Your description is exactly what was in the spot. And this music plays as I walk in, and I do the whole Mr. Rogers thing. It's a quick spot. And then I sit down to a piano, and I play a little, and it was really fun. And it was very well received, and it ran during the Olympics, and so it was really getting a lot of views. And I hadn't thought about it in all these years until just now. Yeah.
Can you play the piano?
No, it was
God, I
and
wish I
the
could find
piano
that
thing
right
was
now.
like really like this jazzy piano thing. No, it was a total cheat. But I talked to the pianist, and he gave me the basic fingering associated with the moves. And so if you watch, it's hard to see whether or not I'm playing because I'm doing the very moves that in general that the pianist was doing. It was fun. Yeah.
So I know how you love a good compliment, and that shirt, the sleeves of the shirt you're wearing hit you in such a way that your biceps look massive.
Yes, I know. Thank you. I've got the best biceps on
I'm just
YouTube.
saying, like, it's a hubba hubba kind of shirt, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
It's fantastic.
Thank you very much. It's my I'm not comfortable in short sleeves, I'll tell you. And so by the way, just because I'm talking about merch, I love this. We just had somebody order one of these. These are the seasonal t-shirts. Make love, not fascism. It's a perfect and then this is the project 1984 and a half.
Yeah.
A reference to George Orwell. This is a small, which is the reason I'm not wearing it right now. I was looking for a shirt, but I don't have. And then this is really cool. I can't wait to wear this. This is the sweatshirt. I'm sorry, not it's a sweater.
Sweater?
It's a knitted sweater. and it's just awesome. All of our stuff is knitted. There's nothing
I
like
that.
ironed
That's
on.
really nice. Yeah.
It's really great. I can't wait to wear it as the weather gets a little cooler. But and then Richard Delamater sent us a picture of himself rocking the merch. I think Tony has it, and Richard really. There he is in a liquor store, which is yeah.
With the lady behind the counter going, "What are you doing?"
He said to me, just so you know, that's my friend behind the counter. I come here all the time, and I asked her, and she said it's okay to show the picture with her face. So we
That's
did
really
check that
funny.
out.
I love it.
Yeah. So
He looks good in the bucket hat too. It looks nice.
he rocks it. Look at the guy. This is a guy who really does get life. You know what I mean? He is really the best. Richard Delamater. Thank you, Richard. Thank you for rocking our merch in all the different ways that you do. So that's a quick preamble to
The Mark Thompson Show.
now there's all kinds of stuff, merch stuff you can knock around and check it out. I want to get to a couple of quick pieces of news before we welcome in the award-winning screenwriter and political activist Billy Ray. And then we have, as you know, and I promised it yesterday, the Social Security activist. And when it comes to knowledge about Social Security, I think he is a wondrous resource, Alex Lawson. And he's executive director of the Social Security Works, and he can tell you exactly what's happening and the future of the Social Security Administration under the MAGA and Trump party. So I do want to start, though, with what's happening with the stock market, and not only here, but internationally, being dramatically affected by the tariffs, and the tariffs go into effect on every country, I think, but Mexico, which is exempted because there is an ongoing negotiation there. But global markets are rattled for sure. Tony, I think, has a little bit of what was happening just a couple of hours ago, and here's the way it was greeted, that news. Go ahead, Tony.
Stocks are sinking sharply right now. The Dow is down. Take a look at this. The Dow is down right now a lot of points, 1.65%. The Dow Jones is down 729 points right now. That's a big number. This morning's lackluster jobs report and President Trump's new tariff policy clearly having a major impact. The Labor Department says just 73,000 jobs were added to the U.S. economy in July, far fewer than expected, and revised figures show June with the weakest job growth in more than 4 years. President Trump is also cementing his break with America's longstanding free trade policy as he announces sweeping new tariffs for the entire world. More than 60 countries now face higher rates. The new tariffs for any country with a trade deficit is now at least 15%. And more than 24 nations are being hit with an even higher percentage. These new rates will go into effect on Thursday. CNN is covering all the angles with Kevin Liptak over at the White House.
Yeah, so Tony, thank you for that. That's a little bit of an overview. One of the things there that was referenced, and it is important, is the revised job numbers. You kind of blew past it quickly, but what they're basically saying is that the May and June numbers were not as good as was reported, and the actual numbers are bad. So you're looking at month after month of jobs numbers that are not too good. And here's a little something on that to sort of put that into a perspective.
Jason Furman is former chairman of the White House Council of Economic Advisors and a Harvard Kennedy School professor. It's good to have all of you here. So obviously, Jason, that's the guy who had your old job, who said basically nothing to worry about. This is quirks and seasonal stuff. Is that what we're saying?
In one sense, I sort of agree with him, but in another sense, I think he's betraying, just a profoundly diminished expectation of what the U.S. economy can accomplish. If you look on average this year, the economy has added 85,000 jobs a month. Last year, it added 168,000 jobs a month. So the pace of job growth has halved. If you're content with 85,000 jobs a month, or, I think he said 80 for this month, private sector, that says you're expecting just much less from the U.S. economy than we had before. Some of that slowdown is tariffs. A lot of it is immigration. The dramatic cutbacks on immigration have really slowed the growth of the labor force, slowed job growth, and are slowing economic growth as well.
It takes nothing.
Thank you. That's again something that I don't think you're hearing a lot about. You're hearing about the tariffs, and I think that's the right thing to hear about on one level. But there is a beginning of the erosion of the good Biden economy that Trump inherited that is going to continue. And again, a weak U.S. jobs report is sort of suggesting that the trade wars have hurt America's labor market. And watch those labor numbers month to month. They will be instructive, I think, as we continue. The other thing that is happening is, and again, you know, there's a ton that's going on in this administration. We'll revisit it with Avila and Shure as we, on Fridays, look back at the week in politics. But in addition to everything happening at the White House, and by the way, the White House is getting a brand new ballroom, aren't they, Cam? A $200 million ballroom?
Yeah, in the East Wing, you know, because you got to dance. You know, what's life without a dance, Mark?
Well, with more and more people out of work, there'll be more and more people who will be available to dance with.
Sure.
And the $200 million, Trump is saying he's going to cover it along with private money. I don't believe a word of that. I mean, this is when Trump said he is running a charity event at his golf resort, and then the charity didn't get $1. Yeah, put this ballroom in the same category. He won't spend $1 of his own money on that ballroom. There is already a huge ballroom at the State Department. That's usually where they have these big dinners that they're talking about. But this is the envisioned White House ballroom. $200 million. How do you spend that? And this is the Mar-a-Lagoization of the White House.
So would you rather have staff at the EPA who protects your air and water, or would you rather have a ballroom? Because as an American, I'm going clean air and water.
Well, that's a very quaint idea, very old school, Kim.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Now it's about trying to impress visitors who want to see a Liberace White House, which is what we are getting. I mean, it's just chandeliers and gold.
Oh, God.
And it's true that the White House is an older building. I mean, it's been around, you know, since, in post-Civil War, I think they did a lot of sort of renovation on it. But bottom line is, it's always been an underpinning philosophy that the White House is not a place that is palatial by definition, because the idea is it's the people's house. It's not supposed to reflect a king. It's not supposed to reflect a ruler on a throne. America is not supposed to be about that. That was the old America. The new America is all about a guy who basically owns the country and can do whatever he wants. And look, he wants a $200 million ballroom. That's what he's going to get. I'll discuss some of the other things that he's talking about. I'll get to Ghislaine Maxwell, all of that a little bit later in the show. But right now, I've got a big name online too. So I've got
The Mark Thompson Show.
I'm such a huge fan of this guy. I mean, Billy Ray is not only a great screenwriter, award-winning screenwriter, but he is one of Hollywood's most respected storytellers, and he oftentimes turns real-life drama into unforgettable films. So he's the guy behind Shattered Glass, Captain Phillips, Richard Jewell, and this deep research he does, the sharp writing he does, a knack for tension in every story he tells. He has a gift for exploring truth, power, and that gray area in between. He is a go-to voice for smart, gripping, character-driven films. And he, on top of all of that, is a brilliant political activist. How about it for friend of the show, Billy Ray, everybody. Look at you. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've seen you. You look
so
great.
good to be with you.
Yeah. So, Billy, I don't know where to start. You know, if we had a longer time to visit, we talk about Hollywood and we talk about the changing face of AI in Hollywood, and I'd still love to touch on it maybe toward the end of our conversation. But I sort of feel with the five-alarm fire that's going on in Washington, and you've made films about the Trump administration in season 1 of Trump when he was meeting with Comey and that dinner. I remember that was a riveting scene in that Showtime special. It was a film, like really 2 films over 2 nights. I wonder if you can give me a sense of how you see Trump having consolidated power, it would seem, in now season 2, in his second 4-year term, and how, and this is what strikes me, how America is a different place than I thought it was 4 years ago.
Well, first of all, great to be with you. But the founders of the Constitution, the framers of the Constitution, they saw Donald Trump coming. They built all kinds of backstops and escape valves into the Constitution to get rid of a would-be despot. What they did not see coming was Mike Johnson as Speaker of the House. They made the legislative body Article 1 of the Constitution. It was the most important part of the Constitution. And it never occurred to them that a Mike Johnson would show up and just lay down for a president, that a Mike Johnson as Speaker of the House would voluntarily just surrender all power in order to please that despot. They didn't build a fail-safe in to that document for that. The fail-safe to that is us. That's what we need to do now, gearing up for 2026, so that we actually put a balance of power back into our government. It does not exist at the moment.
Billy, it strikes me, though, in addition to MAGA Mike Johnson, you also have a party that's been entirely cowed by Trump, or they see a route to retaining power. I don't know. I think there are a lot of different sort of reasons that everybody's fallen in line, but they nonetheless have fallen in line. And that's allowed Mike Johnson and his leadership to, sort of be on a glide path in a way that they wouldn't likely have seen. We wouldn't have seen, I think, had there been any pushback on the part of the GOP.
There was a famous philosopher who said that all that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. And that's what you're seeing right now. Otherwise, decent people who have completely sacrificed their own personal ethos, their own integrity, in order for this White House to do what it wants. And that has to do with a desire for political power. It has to do with financial greed. In some cases, it has to do with religious zealotry. And in some cases, it has to do with just out and out white nationalism. And those people are all sort of glomming onto the phenomenon that is Trump and using it for their own purposes, and of course getting used at the same time.
One of the things that struck me is the way in which Trump campaigned and the electorate, and I think generally, and even in polling, a lot of people, even those Democrats and Republicans, rallied around the notion that sort of the bleeding at the border had to be stopped, that the southern border was just really too porous, wasn't being administered well. Of course, Trump, kneecapped that bill that was supposed to really would have taken care of a lot of this. But in any case, is a conflation of that border policy and this ICE expansion, which includes going to high school graduations, to slaughterhouses, to agricultural fields, to restaurants, and just picking people up, many of whom are American citizens or are here legally, and they're getting thrown in vans by guys who are masked with no markings. And Americans, to the point, are not as good with that. I mean, in polling, that's not polling as well as the southern border stuff, but the conflation of the two has created a momentum to this immigration policy, and it's pretty hard to stop.
Again, it'll come back to the people stopping it. Trump is underwater on the economy for the first time in either presidency. He's underwater on immigration for the first time in either presidency. People do not like what they're seeing. They don't believe that masked people without displaying badges or court orders or warrants should be able to go into a Home Depot and just arrest people based on the color of their skin. People do not believe in Alcatraz as an expression of a decent country. But the focus that I have now is not on Trump, believe it or not. And it's not on complaining about Trump, because the fact is we've been telling America that Trump is an asshole for 10 years. And in each election, his vote total grows. What my focus is the Democratic Party and fixing it and making it own its own hypocrisy and its own dishonesty and its own excess so that the American people can trust it once again. I've been flying all over the country to talk to Democrats, especially progressives, about the way that we are pushing voters away, the way that the language we've been using and the messaging we've been using and the policies we've been fighting for are actually turning off the middle of the country in a way that is dangerous now. We have a moral obligation to win and to rescue our democracy. And we have to find a way to do that that will bring more people into the tent of the party, not push them out. And that's been the thing that I really hope to talk to you about
and
today.
That makes total sense, given the fact that the Democrats actually poll worse than that poorly polling president that you're talking about. So, I mean,
yeah, look, the party right now is slightly more popular than syphilis, and there's a reason for that. May I give you a couple examples?
Please. And I'd also like to know what messaging you feel we should default to, or it's your turn.
Okay. First, 68% of this country is Christian. 88% of the homes in this country have a Bible. The average has 4. In the Democratic platform in 2024, there were mentions of Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, and Islam. Do you know how many mentions of Christianity there were in our platform? 0. Not 1. 0. Not only is that political suicide, it's discriminatory. As someone who's not Christian, it's deeply offensive to me. You can't say to 68% of the country, you don't matter. Or worse, you're the problem. What I ask my electeds to do, I mean, I'm doing messaging for 80 or 85 sitting members of the House and Senate right now. And what I'm asking them to do is to say these 6 things out loud. They are incontrovertibly true. They are empirically true, but they are a violation of democratic orthodoxy, which is our entire problem. Ready? See if you can challenge any of these, just on a truthfulness basis. Wanting secure borders does not make you a racist. It does not. Okay? Owning a gun does not make you a school shooter. Okay? They're not the same thing. Disagreeing with us on abortion does not make you a fascist. No, it does not. You can disagree with us on abortion and still be someone that we welcome into our party. Being unsure about vaccines does not make you a flat earther. Lots of smart people are unsure about vaccines. They belong in our party too. Maleness is not inherently toxic. Oh my God, do we have to get over that one? And being a Christian is not the same thing as being a white nationalist. These are incontrovertibly true.
As you run
when Democrats start saying them out loud, we will get the votes in the big middle, which is where the wins have always been. We will bring independence back into our party. We will stop sounding condescending, superior, smug, and out of touch. When we stop telling people that they have to say justice-involved individuals instead of criminals. When we stop telling people they have to say unhoused instead of homeless, or pregnant person instead of pregnant woman. When we stop that, we will win. And we have a moral obligation to do so. You cannot help transgender people by losing elections.
Well, that's a really powerful series of messages. And I wonder, honestly, Billy, if all of these things that you mention land, like we've heard it, how much of it is the right lifting what is not really a mainstream part of the Democratic message and turning it into all about trans, all about
of course they do that. Of course they do that. But we make it easy. You might notice that AOC, the famed leader of the squad, has taken the pronouns off of her website. She figured it out. Everybody's figuring it out. I'm going and speaking to rooms full of progressive people. And I'm saying to them, we're doing this all wrong. we're forgetting to embrace the very people that we need. And we've got to stop. We've got to stop trying to win the woke Olympics. We've got to stop being the pronoun police. This is how we lose. And we have a moral obligation to win. They stand up and cheer. They rush forward and say, thank you. I got flown out to Virginia to give a speech, literally to a room of 1,000 progressives, 95% of them women. They all rushed forward and said, thank you. No one's saying this. No one's saying this. Then I was brought into this room to do some work with a workshop with 25 candidates running for the House of Delegates in Virginia. The room held 25. 100 people came in. And there was no AC. They were standing along the wall because nobody's talking like this. The Democratic Party has to recognize its own hypocrisy, its own excess. Stop worrying about what the mainstream media is doing. Stop worrying about what Fox is doing or what CNN is doing in an effort to look fair and balanced, which is giving a microphone to insane people. We need to clean up our own house. We need to stop saying what we're against, and we need to start saying what we're for. We just dropped $6.7 billion on an election cycle. And if you stopped any American in the street and said, what does the Democratic Party stand for? He can't tell you. He has no idea. And if pushed, he'd say, I know you hate Trump. I know you love abortion, open borders, and trans people. That's our brand. It's hardly the new frontier. And we need to do better. And then the people will come.
Tony, do you have the town hall? I wanted to play that for Billy Ray. There is pushback in the world of town halls, as you might expect, GOP town halls. You made me think of it when you talked about, these various forums in which you're speaking. But I just want you to see a little bit of the pushback that some of these GOP Congress people are getting. Go ahead, Tony.
That's why they don't do town halls.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
President Trump seems to run Southeast Wisconsin through you.
I was always under the impression that Congress was responsible for issuing the tariff. I really feel that this is a terrible tax that's going to be placed upon the citizens of the United States.
This really, at its core, needs to be an opportunity to make sure that other countries are treating the United States fairly. The United States, I'm not looking. I want to be able to get through as many of your questions as we can.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will never get questions if we can't keep the auditorium quiet.
It's not politics, it's morality. I care about people. And what I see happening to our immigrant population embarrasses me. You have not raised a voice to complain about it. Where do I see your leadership? I see no leadership. I see following Trump 100% of the time. And Trump's lead has been...
Okay, Tony, thank you. You get the vibe. This is real pushback. It's like, why are you guys just henchmen for this guy who doesn't care about civil rights, human rights, and is able to just flex, and you guys salute?
Yeah, again, it's focusing on them and what they're doing and their dishonesty. We already know about that. What are we as a party doing? What are we doing that is saying to the United States of America, to the citizens, give us power, this is what we're going to deliver for you? In other words, I don't think America wants us to complain about Trump. I think America wants us to say, okay, they're taking a chainsaw to the VA. Here's what we're going to go do for vets. Here's how we're going to create relationships with the private sector in your community so that vets are still taken care of. Okay, they're trying to get rid of Medicaid. They're trying to kick you off Medicaid. Here's what we, as the Democratic Party, are going to do to try to protect you. Make it about the voter and make it about the Democratic Party as the only champion, the only advocate that party has. The thing about social media is, at least the algorithm that feeds me, is it is a bunch of Democrats complaining and agreeing with each other about Trump. Okay, true, and maybe necessary to blow off steam, but not particularly helpful. And it will not help us build our brand. Our brand is we try to bring more people into the middle class. We are working for working people, their health, their welfare, their well-being, their future. That's our mission, right? We believe that small businesses need more help than big businesses do. We believe that labor needs to be protected everywhere. We believe that the middle class and the working class need to be protected from a tax code that overwhelmingly favors the rich. We believe that our greatness comes from our goodness. We believe that we have to stand up for vets, the elderly, and kids. We believe that every American matters and no American matters more than anybody else. That's our brand. We will win more running on that than we will by pissing off 68% of the electorate.
Sure, and that's a great run. I mean, what you've just said is a great run. It's and this is sort of in your sweet spot, like doing the reducto on that, finding messaging that can be repeated and that can find its way into the public forums. That's really the challenge, isn't it? Because they successfully messaged, and as you say, there was no message. The Kamala Harris campaign had so much momentum going into it was this short campaign, kind of the way I'd like to see all presidential campaigns actually be. But it was momentum. It seemed blunted by the fact that there wasn't really a clean message that was getting through. Wouldn't you say?
I would absolutely say. And look, you cannot call people weird and ask for their vote at the same time. Like these are things that are just contradictory. You can't do that. Our tent needs to get bigger. All that matters is winning. That's it. I don't care if you agree with me on abortion or not. You may have religious reasons why that is just anathema to you. Okay. But you still believe in democracy. You still believe in the Constitution, right? You still believe in lowering the cost of insulin. You still believe in clean water and clean air. You still believe in Social Security and Medicaid. Well, then you're a Democrat. You may not know it, but you're a Democrat. And you need to be welcomed back into this party because we don't want to give you anywhere else to go. We need your vote.
I want to ask you this question, and you're kind of the perfect guy to ask. Trump is a generational political figure. Loathsome, I think, but he is truly, I think, without peer when it comes to the sort of, again, I'll just call it charisma or this cult that he's built. It appeals to masculinity. It appeals to, people are sparked to his perceived wealth and success, even though that was a fraud, of course. But the idea that this guy is someone who is intimidating, uses his power, and was able to build this coalition behind him is, I think, generational as a political figure, as I say. Now, this gets to the part that I feel is about you. If you kind of put it in show business terms, he's like a lead, a male lead that is so great that everybody goes to the theater to see the film regardless of what the film is about. And the reason I kind of put it in that way is I'm getting to the Democrats. The message I think that you've suggested is so very powerful. They still need a male lead, and sadly, it has to be a white male lead. I just think that's what I'm learning about America, and I'm not crazy about it, but I'd love your impressions. Is that true? Don't you think even Biden? Last thing, and I'll let you speak. Even Biden was doing some great things for regular Americans. I mean, his legislative record was actually quite impressive. The infrastructure bill was expansive and transformational, and yet, because he was doddering and old, he didn't have the kind of charismatic dynamic to sell his own accomplishments. And so this guy could come up and just talk crap about him, and you end up with a kind of asymmetry to the two of them. So do we need this male lead to extend the parallel, and who might it be?
Okay, it's going to be a long answer, so forgive me. Okay. In the Civil War, the Union Army kept firing general after general because everyone kept losing battles to Robert E. Lee. Finally, Lincoln brings in Ulysses S. Grant, and Grant meets with all of his staff, all of his generals, and they keep talking about Bobby Lee this and Bobby Lee that, and what Bobby Lee can do, and how Bobby Lee made them look bad. And he said, "Stop talking about Bobby Lee. Stop thinking about what Bobby Lee's doing to you, and you start thinking about what you're going to do to Bobby Lee." Okay. This was a guy who didn't scare worth a damn. And he knew how to lick Robert E. Lee's army and then went out and did it. Okay. That's what's necessary now. I reject the premise of your question. Trump is not some big, sexy lead. That's not what's going on out here. Trump is a studio head who has decided to destroy whoever was in his way and to pump up anyone who could make him look good and to fuck every actress on the lot. Okay? That's what he is. He's a pig. He's not a male lead who's sexy and people want to keep coming to see his movies. What he did was he validated people's hatreds. He came to them in 2015 and he said to them, you should hate liberals. You should hate the Clintons. You should hate the elites. You should hate the media. You should hate the coasts. And in some cases, you should hate black people because they're all laughing at you. Well, I'm not fucking laughing at you. I'm going to punish them for laughing at you. That was his pitch. It's still his pitch. Okay? And people found that attractive because it made them feel better about the ugliest parts of themselves. Put that aside. That's not the issue now. The issue is that he had one great political insight, and only one. I think he's the most overrated intellect of all time. But he had one great insight. He knew that he could go to the Republican rank and file and say, the people running your party are morons. And that not only would the rank and file say, oh my God, he's right, but the people running the party would say, you're right, we are morons. And they all got on his back. Okay? In 2027, some Democratic leader is going to come to the rank and file of this party and say, the people running your party have led you off a cliff. Get on my back. That's the mountain we're climbing. I know how to get over it. And that person will be a messianic figure. No question in my mind. That person will be elected president in 2028.
Wow. What a great way to stick the landing. So that optimism informs a lot of your activism now. And
well, wait a minute. First of all, right now, 69% of independents say their income does not meet their expenses. 69%. 64% of Republicans say the same thing. Okay. There have been more farm bankruptcies in the first 3 months of this year than there were in all of 2024. And P.S., farmers take their own lives at a rate that is 3.5 times the general population. Okay. Trump is completely underwater, as I said, on immigration. Nobody thinks this is going in the right direction. Nobody likes the chaos of tariffs are in, they're out, they're happening, they're higher, they're lower, they're not, they're Canada, they're China. People need consistency from their government. And they do not support what is happening with ICE. And this is before Epstein has blown up. Okay? Take all of this into account. By November of 2026, this economy is going to be in a ditch because he's run it ineptly. And at the end of the day, in 2024, we were trying to sell joy to people who couldn't afford eggs. That turned out to be a bad idea. Wait until November of 2026, when people can't do anything. In 1960, the average age of a first-time home buyer in America was 23 years of age. Today, the average age of a first-time home buyer is 38. That is a seismic difference. And you can't run an economy for long on that. And by November of 2026, the world will realize, and America will realize, what Trumponomics look like.
Oh, yeah.
They
Well,
they look like a $200 million ballroom in the White House while everybody else is off Medicaid.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's exactly right. He has no business acumen. And it's a shame, though, Billy Ray, that it'll have to be in the ashes of that economy that the Democrats again rise to power and have to do a cleanup job that is far in excess of any kind of cleanup job they've had to do in the past. I mean, in the recent past, anyway. You know,
it is true, but I believe that by then the American public will understand the full dynamics of the economic disaster that is being foisted upon them.
Real quick, you're still so instrumental in launching relevant show business projects, film, television. What's in the mix right now? What's in the pipeline? What's in the Billy Ray world from that standpoint?
Kind of you to ask. Really excited about a movie on which I was one of the writers called Animals that Ben Affleck just directed for Netflix. I wrote the next Hunger Games, which is shooting right now.
That's right. Yeah, Billy was the writer on the first Hunger Games. I know it went through some iterations.
And during the Writers Guild strike 2 years ago, I wrote a novel for the first time, and that will be published March 3rd of next year.
Oh my God, that's just awesome! I love it. I love it.
I wish I had a copy of it in my lap. I would hold it up for you. I have the advanced reader's copy.
You'll come back and we'll talk just about that, and we'll talk about animals and other stuff.
It's called Burn the Water, and you can pre-buy it on Amazon. Right?
What's it called? Say it again. The title.
Burn the Water.
Burn the Water. I love it. We'll find it. I'll tell you what, Tony, we can put a link to it, maybe to the pre-order underneath this video.
Oh,
okay,
thank you.
We'll do that. Yeah, and as I say, you'll come back and we'll do a whole conversation.
I love chatting with you.
Yeah, and right back at you. Really enjoy it. Billy Ray, everybody. Thanks, Billy.
Good to see you.
Talk again soon. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
It was great. I loved it.
How would you handle this? We could try ignoring it, sir.
Morning.
You cannot say you love your country.
Where are my weed smokers at?
Stay at home and get baked.
Wow, love that guy. He is just so smart. And I'm telling you, when you come to politics, we've talked about this for years, messaging is critical. I mean, look at the way the Republicans seized the message. They successfully seized a message and established a brand for the Democrats, about the Democrats. They sold a fraud about the Democrats, that they were all about trans, that they were a bunch of abortionists, whatever it might be. And so the idea that messaging has to change is critical to any kind of political success. And that's the guy you want in that conversation. So we'll catch up with some chats and comments as we continue. But I'm so grateful for Billy Ray making time and visiting with us. Smash the like button if you would. It's a thing on YouTube. I know it's crazy. It's free though, and it costs you nothing.
It with your iron rod.
Smash it with your iron rod. Do it like a boss. And it's a really great day because I've got another guest to introduce you to.
The Mark Thompson Show.
You know him. He's been a visitor here once before. I think he's a regular on the Thom Hartmann Show, and he's a powerhouse in the fight to protect and expand Social Security and Medicare. These are tough times for him, but he's executive director of Social Security Works. He leads a coalition of 340 plus organizations that collectively represent over 50 million Americans. In plain talk, he digs into the trenches of policy and media, and he pens passionate op-eds on seniors, prescription drugs, government accountability. The work he does is so very valuable, and I'm so grateful that he made time for us today. Alex Lawson, everyone.
Thanks so much for having me, Mark.
Yes, I'm just always delighted when you come through our world. And I'm also so very troubled about what's happening with Social Security and Medicaid and these things and services that people depend on. And they come so cleanly through your world regularly. I mean, this is a fight you've been in for some time, but I wonder if you can kind of recalibrate for us where we are, what is happening, what's really threatened, what is just a headline, prioritize it for us.
I wish that this conversation were going to go better than it is, but it won't. What's happened is the most destruction that we've ever seen in the history of this country against our critical systems and earned benefits. So sort of start off at the beginning of the year, and you brought in this billionaire, Elon Musk. This is a guy who's driven by the fact that he doesn't want to pay the same rate into Social Security as all of the rest of us, right? We all pay in on all of our income, but you only pay in on the first $176,000 of income. So Elon Musk, he hits that on the first minute of the first day of every year. Now, if billionaires paid in on all of their income, Social Security would be not only fine for another century, we'd be able to expand benefits, right? It's its 90th anniversary this year. Through war and peace, through boom and bust, through health and pandemic, Social Security's never missed a single payment until now. And why? Because Elon Musk and his Doge crew took a chainsaw and just ran it right through the heart of the Social Security Administration. They pushed out 7 to 10,000 workers. This is an agency that was already way understaffed. You have 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day. We need more offices and more workers. But also critically, they targeted the critical infrastructure, the IT infrastructure that's necessary for Social Security to function, for checks to go out. And what we've seen, not everybody's seen it, right? So some people are like, well, my checks are fine so far. And you're like, that's good for you. But let me tell you, if you're me, you're just getting inundated with messages about service disruptions, not being able to go into the offices to try to clear up, why is my check late? Why can't I get my benefits? They're told, oh, just go online. The website's down. Now, not only for the people on the outside, citizens who are trying to access it, but for the workers on the inside, they can't use it either. Then they say, oh, we'll just call the phone number. 5-hour wait time, and then the calls dropped. That's not me. That's Senator Elizabeth Warren did a study. She found that it drops the calls more than it answers them. And now the slap in the face is you have an AI recording lying to you about the Republican budget. So Social Security is in danger, folks. That's the truth. It's in danger. Our checks are in danger, and we need to protect our checks. We need to stand up against this. But that AI is lying also about the Republican budget, because what you know, Mark, what we talk about is all of these systems are interrelated. So when you cut $1 trillion out of Medicaid and healthcare, and hospitals are closing across the country, and nursing homes are closing across the country, 50,000 people dying a year because of this bill. Most of those deaths are occurring with poor seniors, with the Medicare Savings Program, and in nursing homes, seniors, people with disabilities. Now, you put all of that together, and this is a catastrophe, the size of which this country has never seen before.
Wow, you're right about me not being happy with what I was going to hear. I mean, it is really depressing. And I always have felt as though they've gone after Social Security. And by the way, the third rail of American politics is Social Security. It's always sort of felt this sacrosanct quality that Social Security has had. It's always felt protected to me. Like even as all the maelstrom of craziness is going to go down, even in MAGA land, they're not going to touch Social Security. But of course they not only touched it, but as you said, they put the chainsaw through the heart, to use your words. Is your ongoing concern that this is just the beginning of an attempt to privatize it, to so hobble it even further that private industry will move in and it will no longer be a government program if it exists at all?
That's exactly. I mean, they're openly talking about that now, but that's exactly what's going on. So Elon Musk doesn't want to pay the same rate into it as the rest of us, right? The billionaires hate this system because it's an engine of equality. It fights against income inequality, wealth inequality. So they hate it, but they know the American people love this program. And that's not liberals love it, progressives love it. No, you're like your MAGA uncle loves it, your independent aunt loves it, everybody loves it. So what they're trying to do is wreck it so that they can rob it. They want to undermine the system, to make it not work so that it's not beloved. And then you have the billionaire Treasury Secretary go on TV, I think 3 days ago or just a few days ago, and he talked openly, smilingly about their attempts of a backdoor privatization of Social Security. The end goal of the Republican experiment or ideology or armed cartel just robbing us as fast as possible. It's always the same, right? They kneecap the mailman, then they complain that the mail is late, and then they just happen to remember that they've got a cousin in the private parcel delivery sector, right? And he's going to charge 4 times as much and deliver half the quality services. Privatization is a ripoff. That's just a transfer of wealth from the people, from us, into the pockets of billionaires. You know who profits off of Social Security? Nobody. That's why the billionaires hate it. It works and they don't make any money. You know who profits off of public education? Nobody. That's why the billionaires hate it and they try to wreck it so that they can rob it. It's the same story over and over and over again. And where we are is actually just the scariest place that I've seen. So yes, we've seen these attacks before, but in my 15 years working on this, and Nancy Altman, the president of Social Security Works' 50 years of working on this, both of us have never seen anything like this before. And I don't want to, we can move to the, now what do we do? But I do want to just highlight this one thing. Our IT experts, the people who we talk to, who are just like, please get them to reverse these cuts, do everything you can. They're telling us that these disruptions, it's like a warning system, these red flashing lights. And they're saying, once it reaches far enough down into the system, the COBOL system that this whole thing is built on, which actually sends the checks out, that's when we're going to see a stoppage or massive disruption of checks going out. And when that happens, because it's a win, no one is reversing course right now, right? It's full steam ahead. When that happens, that's not one check being disrupted. What the experts that we talk to are telling us is once that starts, they're not sure at all that you can reverse that, right? It's a cascading failure. So as you go to fix one thing, another thing will break. So we're talking about, months of disruption, and that's like best case scenario. And studies have found that millions of Americans, they can't miss one Social Security check, right? One Social Security check and they're homeless, or one Social Security check and they can't pay their skilled nursing facility and they die, right? That's what we're talking about. That is what the Republicans are just careening as fast as possible towards this cliff. And it's like, I think your previous guest was saying, yes, they want to wreck it so they can rob it, but don't overestimate these guys' intelligence either. They're not supermen. They believe they are because they were born into wealth and privilege, but they're unleashing forces that they don't control. And when it starts, they're not going to be able to rein it back in.
Wow, there's a lot there. I am thinking about the political gaming of it all. I imagine there'll be the blaming of the Biden administration. They did a bunch of things that there'll be a concoction of falsehoods that sort of populate the explanation for why Social Security is falling apart. And there'll be potentially political damage associated with it for the reasons that you suggested. I do want to get to what we can do, but I just want to follow up on that with you quickly and ask you, how do they avert the clear political damage this third rail of American politics, as we've always understood it to be, will actually wrought? I mean, it is, if you mess with Social Security on your watch, it is politically damaging, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's a death sentence politically. So I will also point out that Medicaid is held in as high esteem, but just a teeny bit less. Medicare is held in just as extreme esteem as Social Security, just a teeny bit less. So all three of them are really the third rail. And they didn't just touch them, right? They took a chainsaw through them, or they're licking them, whatever it is. But they're certainly acting like they will not actually have to face their voters in the future. Because you can't be someone like Representative Miller Meeks in Iowa's 1st congressional district, right? She won by 800 votes. 800 votes. 67,000 people in that district are going to lose health care because of her vote, right? Like, you can't do that and believe that you have a political future. So, you do the math, you connect the dots, but that's why they're trying to cheat as fast as they can. That's why I think that they are trying to push an authoritarian destruction or disruption of our democratic process, because they know that the people will throw them out on their ear if they get the chance. And, Vice President J.D. Vance, he often holds up this guy, Yarvin, this just white nationalist, neo-Nazi style tech bro,
Curtis Yarvin. Yeah.
as this great thinker. You should Google like them talking about it, both him and Peter Thiel. They say their ideas are deeply unpopular and they know they can't push them through democratically. So they're going to use technology and whatever else they can to get around the will of the people. So the surveillance state and everything else that they've built, right? That Palantir is this giant corporation that now has eyes on everything and huge contracts with the US government. So I don't think that it is a conspiracy theory at all. I think you have to concoct a wilder conspiracy to explain their behavior, other than they don't believe that they'll face the will of the people. They think that they are actually entering into an age where you only do what the billionaires want, and then the billionaires keep you in power.
First, Cassandra says, thank you, Alex, for explaining things so clearly. It is true that you are just wonderful when you break this stuff down. That's why it's such a luxury to have you here. And I'm also seeing in the chat the question that we are getting to, which is about what can we do? What's your action statement for today, anyway, when it comes to trying to message to leadership that this is not acceptable?
I think what we're seeing is that, as a great philosopher once said, you can fool some people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all of the time, right? We're starting to see that. You're seeing the manosphere, the broosphere, the Joe Rogan. They're starting to be like, wait, these guys are a bunch of liars. You're starting to see parts of the country wake up. And, as the hospitals start closing around this country, and that's not in the future, that's now. There's going to be more and more people waking up. You're seeing that in foreign policy, domestic policy. One of the first things is to welcome people in. You don't want to actually be antagonistic. If somebody was wrong, but now the scales are off their eyes and they're seeing the way things are, welcome them in. And that is on us to do. Second, we have to be organized, because the authoritarian power structure exists to isolate us, to slice and dice us up into little silos so that we never work together. And the bosses have learned that, over millennia here. So the key is when the people are united, we never lose. So we have to continue building power together. Electoral power is one part of the equation, a critical part of the equation. So the midterms are going to be critical. Representative Miller Meeks is one of, 30-ish Republicans who are deeply vulnerable. If that's something that you are interested in, get involved in electoral politics. But let me tell you, it's not going to be enough. Electoral politics is not going to be enough. We also need just a mass mobilization of the people. And that requires everyone to get organized in whatever network you're in, right? Your house of worship, your church, your book group, your neighborhood, wherever you have the ability to talk to people, do so and invite them in. But also, you plug in, right? You can put, there's so many amazing organizations across this country. Social Security works. We're running a campaign called protectourchecks.com. That's on August 16th. We'll have events all across the country at Social Security offices, getting in the field with your neighbor, shoulder to shoulder, feeling the power of us standing together. Protectourchecks.com, but also you've got Indivisible and you've got all these other groups. Don't try to do it alone. When you're alone, you do have power, but it can be ignored by the state. When we all stand together, we can't be ignored, and never let them fool you that you don't have power. We've seen it time and time again. In fact, the only way to stop autocracy, the only way to stand up to fascists is by regular, everyday people standing up and saying no. And then the politicians follow, but the people have to lead.
Alex, I want to ask if we can, I want to link to Social Security Works, and I assume there is the list of places, Social Security offices where you'll be mobilizing, where this is the kind of organized protest that really we'd all, I think, like to be part of. So that's there on the website, yes?
Yes, and the direct website is protectourchecks.org.
Protectourchecks.org. A lot of people just listen to the show and are not on YouTube and Spotify and elsewhere. So again, we'll have links to that in the description under this, and that'll also show up on Spotify. I'm just a fanboy for you. I think you're just great, and I think you do such a great job, and I'm so sorry that we need you so desperately at this moment, but I'm really grateful that you're here. Thank you.
Right back at you. Without truth tellers, the fascists will always win. So we need you more than ever right now. So thank you for having me on.
Protectourchecks.org. Alex Lawson, thanks, my friend. Talk to you soon.
The Mark Thompson Show.
He is so great. He is so great. I'm really grateful for him. Boy, what a first hour. A couple of real heavy hitters for you. Mike Ekstrom, thank you. You're a heavy hitter as a super sticker deliverer. Big shout out to you.
Big shout out.
Right on, Mike Ekstrom. $20 super sticker. That snapped my head around.
Hey.
And then Romania Animal Rescue. Big shout out.
Big shout out.
Also with a $20 super sticker, a super chat actually that says Sheriff Grady was on MSNBC. ICE is taking away Sheriff Grady's officers.
Yeah.
What?
ICE is trying to poach officers from local communities, and people are mad because there's a police officer shortage as it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. Did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Delamater, who is rocking the merch today. We shared it with you at the top of the show. Wow. Thanks, Mark. He says with a $5 super chat, if I might make a comment, you were quite a handsome devil yourself. My new bucket hat has given me a new look, which the ladies love. Well,
Girl, you just woo.
yes, it's quite exciting. Well, thank you. Man to man, I appreciate the compliment. Luis, the master of sarcasm, says, firing thousands of government workers, destroying small businesses with tariffs, and cratering other industries with ICE capades equals poor jobs report. Hashtag no way. Yeah, exactly. What did you think was going to happen, right? Thanks for the $5 super chat. Exactly. Luis is 100% right. So you fire thousands of government workers, you destroy small businesses, the tariffs continue to crater industry, and then and ICE is a big part of this. Deportations, big part of this.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why you have a tepid/poor jobs report. And CC Ryder on the Democratic message, she says Dems stand for climate change, voting rights, EPA, animal welfare, LGBTQ rights, democracy. Do not allow MAGA to define Democrats. Yeah, but your calling card, you control. And I'd say if you're leading with climate change, it's sadly, I'm a massive tree hugger. I may be the biggest tree hugger in the show. We've got thousands of people watching. I could be a bigger tree hugger than any of them. I think the trees need hugging.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't lead with I'm a climate activist and we're the party of climate activism. It's sad.
Mm.
It's just that I don't see it as an effective political weapon from a messaging standpoint. Obviously, I've just said, I think at the core, it's important, beyond important. It's an existential priority. But I'm just saying from a calling card standpoint, which is really what you're doing with your messaging politically, it's not the strongest calling card. What's that, Kim?
We were just talking about Social Security. And speaking of messaging, I have a relative who is very happy because she says Trump, in this new big, beautiful bill, is taking away taxes on Social Security, that her Social Security won't get taxed. And so she's going to have more money to spend because, or more of a safety net for herself, because she won't have to pay taxes on Social Security. That's the message she's getting. And that's a lie. That is not true. Trump took away, he gave a $6,000 tax credit to Social Security recipients until 2028. That's it. 2 years.
Yeah.
You get a he didn't forever strip away the possibility that you'll have to pay taxes on your Social Security. They are very good at spreading these lies, and they have all these media outlets that are shoveling falsehoods onto people. So you hear the truth from Alex Lawson on the Mark Thompson show. What you don't hear on the Mark Thompson show is, the lies. And I think, how do we get the message to people like my relative that what she's being fed is a load of crap?
Sadly, you're right. The propaganda machine is big and real. I think she was going to have to find out the hard way. That's the sad truth. And we all, the hard way puts a lot of pressure on all of us because the economy becomes more and more encumbered by all of this mess. Trump has no business acumen. He is a mess, chaotic tariffs and all the rest. And then, as you say, he messages with tax breaks, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security. These are things that land with people. And then ultimately, they're going to have to find out the hard way that this stuff isn't real.
So here's the question. Do you think in 2 years, right in time for the presidential election, in 2 years, when everyone realizes, oh, I do have to pay taxes on my Social Security after all, that's not what Trump said, do they then all turn around and retaliate by not voting for the MAGA Republican people?
I think it's all a question of alternatives, too. When you hear them run down the MAGA agenda in some ways, but then they vote for MAGA anyway, because I never want to vote for those liberal, commie, etc. Again, this is why messaging is so critical, I think. I did want to mention, Friday Fabulous Florida has moved. We do it now after our conversation with these guys who are so good to come in on a busy week and to talk about the week in politics. So we'll get to that right now.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Put it together for two guys who are so very impressive, award-winning journalists. Jim Avila, of course, the longtime ABC News correspondent, covered the White House as the lead correspondent there for 8 years, I believe it was. He's won the Murrow, Peabody, Emmys, etc. How about it for Jim Avila? And this guy has forgotten more about politics than most of us will ever know. He's covered, I heard just last night, something on the order of 30 MAGA rallies in the ramp up to the Trump presidency during the campaign. And he's also covered many other issues from COVID wards to Central American voting systems. How about it for Michael Shure, everyone? Great to have you.
I'm a little upset. I'm a little upset about Friday Fabulous Florida moving.
Oh, really? I'll tell you what I'm not upset about
What are you
is a clean-shaven Michael Shure. Come on.
Well,
it takes like 10 years off of you.
Well, thank you. That's I hope that's the case. I hope
you were looking like the elder in the tribe for a while, and now now you look like this young buck. I love it.
Yeah. Now, do you know where to send the check to where my mother should send the check to you? Is that it?
I'm so glad you guys are both here on such a busy week. I'll get to Ghislaine Maxwell because it seems to be something that is of immense political relevance, which is why I think it would be interesting to hear from you guys. But I want to talk first about tariffs. This is the kind of mini Liberation Day where the tariffs have gone in and the markets worldwide are roiling. The tariffs obviously have a chaotic quality to them. And, Jim Avila, I think you can talk about the economic chaos created, since there really isn't a coherence to it. But the one tariff that really stands out to me as truly bizarre in its own category of bizarre is the 50% tariff on Brazil and the taxation of Brazilian imports because of Trump's personal feud with the justice system that is going after Bolsonaro, his friend, the president in Brazil. This is someone who engineered a coup in a kind of Trumpian way, denying the results of the election, saying that the machines that were associated with voting were fixed, and then actually leading the violent coup. I mean, it's like an American parallel, that is to say, storming the Capitol. I wonder if you could speak to this, because to me, and then I'll shut up and let you speak, but to me, it seems as though this is a personal thing that doesn't in any way help the American public, balance trade, whatever bizarro justification and rationale he has for the other tariffs. This one set of tariffs on Brazil exists just out of personal animus. It doesn't help the American people in the least.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mark. And I think it's the thing is
there still time in this segment?
How dare you? I was laying out a specific question. How dare you? I'm sorry.
We got to it. We got to it. We got there.
Hear you.
All right. Go ahead, Jim Avila.
Well, so this is the product of an unbridled dictator. Okay, this is a guy who has really had his way in the United States, and surprisingly so to some of us, but there's no doubt that he has changed our institutions. And now he's feeling his oats so much that he's going to try to change Brazil, of all places, and try to meddle in their politics. So yes, 50% tariff. Should there be a tariff perhaps in Brazil on beef, because they're a main competitor with the United States in that area, and there should be some kind of way to even that competition out. Okay, economically you can figure that out, but as far as changing a verdict or a political verdict by the people in Brazil, what are we doing with that? This guy is, because he's been unchecked by his own party and so far by the voters in our country, he has decided that he can do whatever he wants. Right now, I mean, I know you've probably already spoken about this, but right now he's ordering submarines, nuclear submarines, next to Russia or closer to Russia. That these type of things are, it's beyond a danger to our democracy. It's become just plain dangerous to our health and to everything else, besides what your previous guest was talking about Social Security.
Yeah, reckless for sure. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, Jim kind of said it all when it comes to the overreach and going into other countries and wanting to run the world and wanting constantly to run distraction as well. I mean, when there's bad news, he always wants to distract, and we talked about it a little bit last week on this show. The notion that Mike Johnson was saying, "Oh, we're gonna go out on recess a little early this year," clearly because he didn't want to have a Maxwell hearing, a Jeffrey Epstein hearing. It's a story that isn't going away, and the White House is starting to realize it's not going away, so they're looking to other places right now. And as far as the tariffs, that's again muddy water. It's muddy water in a place that relies on very clear water, and those are the markets. And I'm not an economist, but I know that the thing that they hate most is uncertainty. And I can't remember a more uncertain time economically with these sort of haphazard tariffs. Now you get jobs numbers that are abysmal, according to the people who rate those and do so without any bias. And then you're able, if you're the White House, to blame other people, right? So who do they do? What do? They blame the Fed. They blame the fact that interest rates haven't changed. And look, that may be economically right, but it is so part of the stereotype, the way this administration operates, is blame everybody else. It's always somebody else's fault. And then embrace the people who cause all of that chaos, the Bolsonaros, the J6 people, whomever it is, some of the sort of loudest and haphazard voices on Capitol Hill. It's really it's something that we've come to live with now, and we have 3.5 more years of it.
Tony,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not
Go
sure.
ahead, Jim.
Let me just say one more thing about the tariff situation, which is beyond my scope of expertise as well. But when it's going to come home politically, which I can speak to, is when these prices do go up and the businesses can no longer absorb them. Because it is going to be the American people who are going to pay for these tariffs eventually. Now, that may happen in 6 months, may happen just before the midterms. But when that happens, that's when Donald Trump is going to feel some pain.
And to add to that, Jim, it's not just when prices go up, it's when prices don't go down. Because the people that elected this guy elected him because the prices were already too high. And they said, and Trump promised that prices are going to go down. So not only are they going to go up, according, again, to the most expert people in their field, but they're certainly not going to go down. And that is what was promised. So I think that's also a real political sort of dagger to himself and to his party going into a midterm election next year.
Yes, because Mark, just one, I'm sorry, but just to build on what Michael is saying, yes, there are all kinds of problems. The biggest problem we have is the climate change situation, which you've spoken about a little while ago, and the fact that he's just throwing all that stuff out. The deportation issue, those are huge issues. But people vote, as we saw in this last election, on inflation and on prices. And when he doesn't do what he said he was going to do, as Michael points out, and when it even goes the opposite direction, that's where he's going to feel the pain.
I was curious as I was thinking back to World War II Europe, as the economies of Europe struggled immensely. All of the policies, all the blaming, all of the roundups, all of the fascism, all the despotism, all of the hate and killing, it didn't lead to any kind of flourishing of any economies during this time. In fact, the war, of course, further encumbered European economies. But I guess it gives an outlet to people to blame this group. I think of it with the expansion of ICE. All that money, another $45 billion dumped on ICE. Now they're hiring cops. We're just talking about it from departments all across America to join ICE. They're offering $50,000 signing bonuses to join ICE. And it just reminds me that people can become a different kind of distracted, about the hate-fueled world of that jihad against immigrants, that the economy just becomes one more irritant. I'm wondering, I'm just trying to game it all out. I just see, I see us kind of sliding into the same world, into that same
in a way,
scenario.
but it's an imperfect analog in that, there something existed in wartime America that doesn't exist now, which was much more harmony and far less discord. It was kind of there was, of course, I didn't live through it, but I'm always skeptical of people who remember things a way that they weren't. But I think it's pretty well accepted that we were unified in fighting the enemy abroad, and it was something that brought the country together in ways.
Well, it took us a while, but yes, once we got around to it.
Exactly, and that's true. And this is sort of a broad brush take on it, but the zeitgeist in America at that time was very different than it is now, and it kind of doesn't help what we're talking about now. It worsens it, so that when you have the idea of ICE and going after people in your own country, it's a totally different environment now, but it's still scary stuff and distracting stuff that's happening.
Yeah, and I was speaking of just to be pure about it, I was speaking of the German economy, for example, of the economies of Europe at that time were struggling, and they never. Really recovered.
Okay, for sure, yeah.
But now I want to just move to this incredibly powerful political problem that Donald Trump has, and it's with Ghislaine Maxwell, and it's with Epstein. And even as he moves these subs close to Russia because of some post he mentions but doesn't get specific about, and even as these tariffs go in, they are on some level distractions from the Maxwell thing, dangerous though they may be. I mean, when you move nuclear subs into some kind of provocative position or into, I know that I see the super up now, Trump will reposition nuclear submarines after provocative Russian comments. Yeah, but you want to talk about provocation, moving nuclear subs into positions close to Russia, that's a provocation of its own. So you can back into a confrontation pretty easily. But all of that said, this Ghislaine Maxwell thing is something else, man. They just moved her to a minimum security prison, and that after her conversation with Todd Blanche, the former Trump personal attorney, now number 2 at the Justice Department. You've got something on that, Tony? I forget. Do we have Tony? Do you have something on that? Yeah, here we go. This is a little bit of and I want to get your comments on the other side.
Oh.
Good afternoon, Chris. Maxwell's attorney is confirming to us that the Federal Bureau of Prisons has transferred her from the minimum security facility where she was serving in Tallahassee to a federal prison camp in Bryant, Texas. And they are not saying why they did that. One way to look at this is that she's going to a slightly less restrictive facility from a minimum security prison to a prison camp, which is about half the size in Bryant, Texas. The differences are not large. And she already was, according to the Tallahassee Democrat, serving in what was called the honor dorm within that minimum security prison, Florida. So she had the most privileges. She had access to yoga and Pilates classes. She was living in a dorm-like setting. But it is notable that after speaking for 9 hours with the Deputy Attorney General under circumstances where her lawyers are suggesting she's providing information to the government, that they have now changed her circumstances within the federal prison system, and they are not saying why, again, to a slightly less restrictive facility in Texas, Chris.
So beyond that, I'm just curious about what I see as an immensely politically relevant development with the Ghislaine Maxwell back and forth and the demand for the release of these files. Jim, don't you see him taking on some political water as a result of this?
Oh yeah, and it's daily, and the best part, of course, is he's taking most of the heat from the right. The left has already decided a long time ago that Donald Trump was mixed up with Jeffrey Epstein in ways that he should not have been. So it's no surprise. But to his followers, who now seeing how deeply enmeshed he may have been in child abuse and supporting a child abuser, and now in enlisting the help of the pimp of Jeffrey Epstein, and allowing her to, first of all, they wouldn't have moved her if the. You can't. I don't know who believes that Donald Trump didn't know anything about the fact that they're going to be a little softer on her, a little easier on her. He is worried about this. He is trying to find a daily excuse to move on, and they're not going to be able to move on. I don't think. It seems to me that the right is bent on seeing those files, and till those files come out. And look, if there was nothing in them, he wouldn't be hiding them. Let's be clear about that. There's no reason to hide them if there's nothing in them, but there's something in them that we need to look at.
It's also a balancing act politically, right? I mean, so he wants to make sure that Maxwell doesn't do anything that's going to hurt him. The administration does, the Republican Party does, that don't want to hurt the Republicans, don't want to hurt the president. But in order to do that, you have to kind of keep her in the news by doing things like this. And what they want is to keep her out of the news. They don't want anybody talking about Epstein, because the more Epstein talk there is, the worse it is for the president, the worse it is for his party, the worse it is for leaders on the Hill. John Thune knows that. Mike Johnson ended Congress because of it. But they're going to come back, and the chorus is going to get louder rather than softer right now. And Thomas Massie, a Republican in the House, is has guns blazing for the Epstein files, and this is going to remain a problem for him. So distraction works, but if you have to kind of, it's an unusual place where you have to soft pedal the distraction because you want to coddle this person if you're Donald Trump. And the other thing is, remember, he was asked last week if he would pardon, if he's considered pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell. And any president who's talking about a 20-year convicted pedophile, sex trafficker, the first thing they would say is, no, of course I wouldn't pardon her. She's a sex trafficker and she's been indicted. But he said, I have the power to do that, which is not what you say about a sex trafficker. So he's had to toe a line here that is a very difficult line for any politician to have to toe.
I just wonder to what extent there's wiggle room for him. I mean, there's really only distraction on this Epstein thing because we all know he's all over the files like a bad smell. He was a best friend of Jeffrey Epstein for years. There's no way he could credibly say he didn't know what was going on. He even alluded to it in various remarks that, by now have been repeated a bunch of times. So he cannot do anything but the sort of performative thing he did with Bondi, releasing, I've asked for the grand jury testimony to be knowing that the grand jury testimony couldn't be released. And even if it were, his name doesn't appear anything because they talked to 2 witnesses in the grand jury.
And they were cops.
Yeah, no victims.
And they were right.
And I don't know if you saw how powerful yesterday on CNN, the 6 o'clock show with Caitlin had the family of the victim who committed suicide on.
Virginia.
And yes, and they went after both Trump and Maxwell and wanted to know, why are they talking to her when she's already lied? And so the news is not on his side. So, he is a master spinner, but I think this one is beyond the spin and mostly because his supporters are not with him on this.
Right.
This
that's
is different.
The biggest part of it. That's what makes it different. It's good news proof a little bit. So let's say these jobs numbers were great. That cycle wouldn't have lasted very long, and it goes right back to this. So when something is good news proof for a president, it becomes very, very difficult. I think back to Clinton with the Lewinsky scandal. It didn't matter how much good was said. And of course, he had the support of his party and the country in the end. He left as a popular president, but he didn't get very much done after that because everything that happened that was good, it didn't matter. It would steer right back to Kenneth Starr and to Monica Lewinsky and all of that. So I think there's something good news proof about this, which is terrible for any president.
I don't know if there's much good news coming down the
No, there isn't. But what I'm saying, there will be. I mean, a 4-year presidency is going to have days of good news for the president. But I don't think, and ordinarily, those are the things that help a president turn the tide, even for a finite period of time. I don't know that there's anything that's going to get through this that could happen externally.
Yeah, no, I take your point. You're saying, look, this isn't going away, and it is the elephant in the room. And
for sure, and for the reason mostly that Jim just said, which is that there are enough people that are MAGA skeptics, that they're also facilitating, and that will happen too in the lead up to 2026. They're making it easier for Republicans who are elected, who are running for re-election, to say, I'm not happy about the president because of this, and I want to know more.
Jim, bad job numbers, the tariffs, the economy slowing. It will be encumbered by this tariff situation. And I think more to the point, or maybe as much to the point, there was this period of relative calm that Donald Trump inherited when he came into office. The world was not in this adversarial place. And right away, he started smack talking Canada and Mexico and our allies. And now we're in this period of true instability. And I'm wondering if you can just remark on, how this all plays out. It's a very different place in just 7 months than it was when he took office.
Well, the midterms, of course, the big test. And, he is, he's been successful so far in destroying everything that he wanted to destroy. So, I'm kind of gone over. I was talking to Kim about this last week. Is that I've kind of gone over to the dark side, and I'm very concerned about what's going to happen to this country. I thought that the people would stand up to him, that the institutions that were left would stand up to him, and that's not happening. And I think it's very dangerous for our country, and I think it's leading us into a very bad place. And unless, and even worse, and things you bring out all the time, Mark, is that now that he's in control of the election system, what happens? Do we trust the elections at all anymore? I mean, he can say, according to the Supreme Court, he can say, I'm acting in my official capacity because I see fraud, and I'm going to take over the elections or postpone an election. And nothing can be done because he was acting in his official capacity, according to the Supreme Court. And that needs to be tested, of course. But right now, that is ominous for this country.
And Michael, on that point, before we get to that sort of declaration and the postponement of an election and all the rest of these things, I'm looking at the gerrymandering in an already heavily gerrymandered state of Texas, and I'm wondering if you can just give us your sense of that and then the Democratic response that has to follow the kind of severe gerrymandering that we're seeing in Texas.
Yeah, gerrymandering is a very difficult and very legally complicated path, and states that have tried to fix it have had a very difficult time doing it because you have to establish a nonpartisan committee, as some states have tried to do, and have them analyze how congressional districts need to be drawn. Well, there are governors of certain parties and legislatures in most bicameral legislatures in the country. When you have both sides with the governor, you're not going to allow that to happen. It's an ill that afflicts both sides. However, the way it's done in certain states, in absolute defiance of their state constitution, which is what we saw in North Carolina, we've seen in Texas, makes this one of the biggest weapons that could possibly that a party could use. So California has created new Democratic districts. Texas is saying, well, if California can do that, why can't we create Republican districts here? All the while saying how unconstitutional it is for California to do just that. So there's not really a solution to gerrymandering other than the courts and the delay tactics and going to state Supreme Courts. North Carolina, it worked to a degree, and it's still being worked out, but it's certainly they were able to stem the tide there. I don't know that Texas has enough courts that are going to be against and opposed to this, that it's going to be friendly to the Democrats who are going to and are already standing up.
Before I let you guys go, I just know that you're probably both pretty excited about the new $200 million ballroom that's going into the White House. It's going to become you're finally classing up the joint, the gold encrusted magic that will be soon installed there at the White House, where you reported for so long, Jim.
Yeah, and it's I've been to functions at the White House where I didn't notice that there was a problem. It looked pretty fancy to me, and for it to need to be upgraded to have gold fixtures is certainly a waste of money. And I don't know how he does this stuff. He's spending all this money on the free plane. He's spending this money on the ballroom, the money that he says that that he wanted eliminated and the debt brought down. And then he's not even bringing the debt down. Instead, what he's going to do is give some checks out for a little bit. And his own right wing is upset about that because they want the debt paid down. So it's such a mess. Mark, I religiously, and I'm sure you guys both do too, read the papers in the morning, catch up on the news in the morning. It is getting more and more difficult to do it every day and to continue to be vigilant. And that's what we've got to be.
Yeah, it is difficult to do it. And it's interesting, Kamala Harris, I'm just to tie into what Jim's saying, Kamala Harris, when asked to comment, she said she's not running for governor of California. When asked to comment, she says, I haven't paid attention to what's going on. I see it in her case, but it's very difficult. I see it because the man she lost to is running the country, and she can't do very much about it because she's not elected and doesn't really have a station. I don't think is the standard bearer for the party. No knock against her. I just don't think the Democrats have that right now. And I kind of envied that. I envied.
We've got AOC.
Right, but AOC's elected and not the stand. I don't think AOC is the standard bearer of the Democratic Party. She's a good voice and is right there on every conversation. But I wouldn't call her the standard bearer. I don't think people want to say that there's a standard bearer all the time.
No, there's going to be a fight for that.
Yeah, there's going to be a fight for that.
And Gavin Newsom is in the running, and even Bernie Sanders at his age is in the running.
Yeah.
So
I'm seeing also that I'm not to let you both go before reminding you that the other thing that's going on at the White House, there's quite of pardon our dust type
Rose
moment,
Garden
is the Rose Garden. Yeah, he's I guess turning it
It's
into
awful.
into a
It
patio.
was a great post by Maria Shriver. I don't know if you guys saw it, about how disgusting they are, disgusted they are about both the Rose Garden and also the Kennedy Kennedy Center. They want to name. They want to rename it to Trump Center. A guy who wouldn't know.
They
What's
already
that?
want to give it. They already want to give it the Melania. Have it be the Melania Trump Opera House, and then name the whole thing the Trump Center.
It's the Mar-a-Lagoization of Washington, and it would be astounding to me, in the list of other things that are astounding to me, if this actually happened as well. Maria, here's the Maria Shriver post. This is insane. It makes my blood boil. It's so ridiculous, so petty, so small-minded. Truly, what is this about? It's always about something. Quote, let's get rid of the Rose Garden. Let's rename the Kennedy Center. End quote. What's next? Yeah. So
It's shameful.
Boys, appreciate you both. Thank you for making time on a Friday, always, and we look forward to next week. Thank you.
Cubs are ahead 1-0, by the way, in the fifth.
And condolences to the Ryan Sandberg and Jim Avila. Family.
Poor Rhino.
Yeah, poor Rhino. Good ball player.
Pretty young, 65, who died of cancer. Boom.
Yeah. Hate to see those numbers. I mean,
good to see you, Mark. Take care.
Good to see you,
guys.
Jim. You too.
Bye, Michael.
So long, guys.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I'm excited for a few things to check off on my crowd, the people who make this show, the community of people who join this show every day or as many days as they can manage it. You're part of that crew. And if you're not, please, subscribe. It's free, and we keep a... this is the Coachella Valley Coffee. I have to tell you something, Kim. There's something quite great
Vanilla
because
tea.
I'm drinking a little too much coffee, as you know. And I love this new Clarity blend.
So good.
But I found the Clarity blend decaf.
What?
Oh, yeah, baby.
Okay.
Clarity
that's
blend
good.
decaf from Coachella Valley Coffee. You will find it too. And it is delicioso, as I've said. Here are the tasting notes right on there. Sweet apricot and cherry notes.
Would it be wrong to put a little bit of caffeinated and a little bit of decaffeinated so you get like a half-calf Clarity blend?
Oh, I think not only is it wrong, but I think that is it's a really terrific...
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
I think it is a wild idea that will work. I love that. Half and half.
Yeah. The
Try
Clarity
it at
blend
CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. You will be a believer. I'm telling you, it is divine, baby.
So I have to tell you, so good, I know. It seems expensive when you look at the price, but then you get the bag of coffee, and the Clarity blend comes in a 2-pound bag. It's a big amount of coffee. So then you understand why it's so expensive, and it's lasting us for quite a while.
Yeah, I would also say that if you're looking for some good values, there's oftentimes value at CoachellaValleyCoffee.com in getting more, like 2 pounds, even 5 pounds or whatever, more than just a 1 pound bag. I also understand the 1 pound bag because, you're looking around to see which coffee sparks you. But I want you to know that it's a boutique roastery. This isn't a discount roastery. This isn't a place where they sweep up a bunch of beans, put them in a bag, and send them off to you at a discount. You do see discounted beans or even organic discounted beans on the internet, but those are typically not a fresh crop. This is all new, fresh grown coffee. And that they make a big deal of this. And all of the coffee is hand roasted. Cliff is the roast master general. You've seen him on the show, and he makes such a big deal of the pride of ownership associated with everything that comes out of Coachella Valley Coffee. So tea, coffee, spices, everything. Go check it out. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Some people are getting their merch. You get 10% off everything. You want to put merch in there, you get 10% off that too. So CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Grab it and use our discount code MarkT at checkout for 10% off.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Mike in Willow Glen with an $8.10 super chat. That a tip of the hat to our old radio station, which was at 8:10. And thank you, Mike in Willow Glen. In memory of what was, he says. Thanks for your show. It makes me aware I am not alone in my thoughts. Wow.
Thanks,
That's
Mike.
really, really cool, man. Such a beautiful sentiment. So thank you for that. Noe Marie, come on.
What?
Mental health crisis over here. A mental health crisis over here about inviting Rogan into the tent. We need some snark from some Friday favorites, Jim and Michael. Yeah, I should have. I didn't see your comment until too late. I'll promise you some snark about Rogan next week. I mean, you know, Rogan can be an asset. I hate to say it, but he really could be an asset.
That's what Billy Ray was saying. You have to open your hand to these folks, these folks that have been so instrumental in doing what's being done to the country right now.
Cindy with a $10 super chat. Thank you for having Lawson on. I'm 60. I'm terrified that Medicare and Social Security could get privatized and make me homeless if I can't keep working. Love hearing Avila and Shure as well. Big shout out to you, Cindy. Thank you for the
Big
$10 super chat. And you want to move that stuff over? Watch it. Cash is right behind you. Maybe just put it over on the table there, Michael. Yeah, just put it over on the table. Don't worry about it.
It is scary, Cindy. Really scary.
Yeah, it is scary. And I love that conversation with Lawson as well. He's just so great. And we'll have him back, and he'll give us the state of the state as well. Eileen, wow, she's an OG. Big shout out to Eileen and Lee. They are two OGs. I think they live in the South Bay of San Francisco Bay Area. RFK's Aunt Jackie transformed the White House into a celebrated symbol of American history and culture. Trump's desecration of the people's house is appalling. Thanks to you, Kim, Tony, and Albert. We love Mark Thompson's show. Thank you, Eileen Finn Kopp. You are, as I say, an OG of this show, supporter from the very beginning. And you're right. The Mar-a-Lagoization of the White House, and I was saying this at the beginning of the show, flies in the face of what the idea behind the White House has always been, that it's the people's house. And it's not supposed to be a palatial gold-encrusted spot in
It's
Washington.
not Versailles, right?
Yeah. A powerful show today, says Joan Hollywood. I appreciate the truth-telling. I appreciate you with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Joan Hollywood.
Big shout out.
Bring in the Hollywood
And,
sparkle.
415 Steve. What up in the 415? Come on. Can we rename the Oakland Sewage Treatment Center to the Donald J. Trump Sewage Treatment Plant? Like Trump, it stinks and is full of, I love it. There you go. Wow. Thank you, 415 Steve, a $20 super chat. Appreciate that. Yeah. I can't imagine going through this time without y'all, says Amanda Michelle. So glad you didn't disappear after KGO. I'll never forget that day. KGO is the station from which we came. That's what Amanda's talking about. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Appreciate that. In YouTube land, all of the support really matters. And the chaplain of record, he's the official chaplain for the show, Chaplain Fred. Hi, Mark, Kim, Tony, and Mark. Oh, hi, Mark, Kim, Tony. Hi, Mark, Kim. I'm cold reading everything, so it's a little, and I can barely see it. It's on the screen, and it's like super tiny. Just to explain why I'm such a,
Seriously, what the?
Exactly. Hi, Mark, Kim, Tony. Mark, you could have been a good preacher the way you preach for Coachella Valley Coffee. I know. I'd love to be a preacher. Preach the word, baby.
Nice
Preach the
people.
word.
Come on.
Thank you for the $5 super chat. For
Did
that.
we mention
And,
people get 10% off by using the code MARKT, no spaces at checkout?
Yeah, I did mention it, but I'm glad you mentioned it again. It's definitely important. Beth Farmer, $20 super chat. Keep on keeping on. All San Francisco Bay Area are Grateful Deadheads this weekend. I love it. How about it to the Deadheads? I saw the show at Sphere in Las Vegas with John Mayer leading the that crew. Michael Snyder, that's something you would like. You're a music dude.
Yeah, they build themselves as the Living Dead. No,
that would have been a great. That would have been that would have been a great name for them.
There's only one of them. Bob Weir's still participating in the band.
I think it's called Dead and Friends or something like that.
It's called Dead Again. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you, Gordon. Keep on keeping on for the $5 super chat. Appreciate that.
Big shout out.
If you aren't yet, please consider being part of our show. We do appreciate all of the ways in which you can support us, and those on an ongoing basis include Patreon and PayPal. You saw that, Tony? I sent you a couple of things, people saying, hey, I'm contributing, and I want to make sure my name gets on the list, or I was on the list, and I fell off the list. You're handling all that, right, buddy?
Yeah, if I've missed any names, I mean, I just go with what's there. So if something happened, I'll check it. But
I forwarded on the emails from people who said, so not a big deal, but I just want to make sure I want people to know
absolutely.
we are
if I missed something, I wanted to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to get right to him, if it's okay with you, Kim. Is it
Just
all
for
right
a
with you?
moment, I just wanted to mention what the Grateful Dead comment is about. Is that Dead and Company is going to be doing 3 summer nights in Golden Gate Park.
That I was going to say that I'd heard about, and that's the real Dead venue, don't you think? Golden Gate Park.
Yeah, it's
totally.
a callback to the be-ins of the 60s where people danced the tarantella or whatever it was, high on mushrooms or whatever else they could get their hands on. Oh.
Yeah, shows sold out, and it's doing a lot for tourism in San Francisco, this 3 days of Grateful Dead.
You could get a contact high from that concert from Marin County, I think.
Where are my weed smokers at?
That is going to be a wild time. Look at that artwork, too. It's very Dead. I'm telling you, man, that Dead show at Sphere was so wild with the art and everything. It's just really, really exciting that they're going to be rocking Golden Gate Park.
They
So
even
is
have
that
tie-dye.
that's
They
this
have
weekend?
tie-dye
Yeah.
wraps on all the Muni trains. Yeah, it's a big deal. So, yeah.
Hey, you can say what you want about San Francisco, but it's a fun place. They try to rep the fun, which is pretty cool. All right, Hippie Hill, as Agolf says, Hippie Hill. All right, without any further delay, although I love delaying, especially before this guy. This man knows the indie films, the main. What do you want to call them? DC Universe? Is it the DC? What's the other one? Marvel,
DC.
comic book stuff, the superhero
Don't
crap.
forget the foreign stuff.
Foreign stuff.
The
He likes
occasional
it.
documentary.
Okay. Once again, I am humbled by the knowledge of this man. He is the guy who comes on Fridays, comes and goes on a rainbow. He's the great Michael Snyder, the culture blaster.
Hey, hi everybody on this dead weekend, a very much alive weekend actually, and glad that you're back in the captain's chair, Mark, although I love hanging out with Kim when you're not around. And you weren't here to referee any argument that might have sprung up between me and Tony regarding the Fantastic Four's use of a female Silver Surfer. This has been a sticking point for our man
you've met
Tony.
your match in Tony when it comes to comic books.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I heard that Hollywood reporters
Tony just gave you the greatest look of all time.
Hollywood reporters approached Elton John, who was sitting poolside in a sequined Speedo and a rhinestone-encrusted sombrero, and asked his opinion of Trump's planned $200 million ballroom, and his response was, "I'm much too tacky, darling."
Even for the diamond-encrusted E-Man. Huh?
Yeah, right. In a subsequent interview on the subject, the ghost of Louis XVI said, "Sacre bleu, that is even too much for me."
Yeah, too much for the Versailles architect.
I know, crazy. So it's a fun weekend. The Grateful Dead hysteria is going on up north. I happen to be in Los Angeles for a bit. And I'm excited tonight about the American Cheese Group Art Show at Super Chief this evening downtown in Los Angeles from 7 to 11. Tomorrow, KP Project's Slice of Summer Group Art Show from 6 to 9. And I'm really thrilled that my friend and colleague, singer, pop music pundit, and savant, the mighty Manfred of the bands The Woggles and The Magnificent, is celebrating his birthday with a live show at the Barclay in Pasadena. That is Saturday night. I am just on tenterhooks about it. I'm excited about it, really.
Wow, look
but,
at you.
But we're about movies, right? And
Yeah.
TV, right?
Yeah.
So let's get down to it. You know, some of the Mark Thompson show audience bemoans my attention to drama and the horror movies, and that's they just get a little bummed out, and they would like, I want a comedy. I want something to lift my spirits. Well, The Naked Gun opened today.
Oh, I love that you've seen this.
Well, I have to say, as I've pointed out time and again, Liam Neeson has a particular set of skills, and one of them is comedy.
Wow.
He was truly funny as the befuddled police officer in the Irish sitcom Derry Girls. He did a hilarious send-up of himself in Life's Too Short, the Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant sitcom about little person actor Warwick Davis. And now, the serious lead actor of Schindler's List and the aging action hero of Taken fame takes on his most challenging role. Lieutenant Frank Drebin Jr., L.A. police detective son of Leslie Nielsen's straight-faced and hilariously clueless crime-busting cop Frank Drebin from the original smash hit comedy trilogy, The Naked Gun. That was like, what, 1988 to 1994, roughly?
Right.
And that was spun off a short-lived TV comedy sitcom thingy called Police Squad. Those earlier efforts excelled at comedic idiocy, and the new Naked Gun holds that banner high, Mark. You know, every film noir needs a femme fatale, and that goes for spoofs of film noir too. So enter Pamela Anderson, enjoying a career resurgence. Here she plays Beth, a sexy but off-kilter woman in a jam, and she's pretty good with a gag. I mean, there is a sequence in this where she essays in a nightclub a performance that is a loony revelation. It takes a lot of guts, and it takes a lot of, I don't know, confidence to get up there and do something like this, and she's great. So the new Naked Gun is a nonstop barrage of dumb and often gut-busting jokes and sight gags. There's Easter egg references to the earlier Naked Guns and topical gags that fit right in. So Lieutenant Frank Drebin is accused of criminal behavior on his part, and the person behind all of this is sort of an Elon Musky zillionaire who wants to control the world, and he's played by Danny Houston, and Houston is clearly having a ball in this thing. I have to say, I laughed out loud about 5 times, and I was grinning throughout the rest of the movie. Paul Walter Hauser is having a moment after his small role in Fantastic Four: First Steps as the Mole Man. Yeah, Tony. That movie was good, Tony. Anyway, here he's Frank Jr.'s partner in Straight Man. You know, Akiva Schaffer, one of the Lonely Island comedy group with Andy Samberg and Jorma Taccone, directed and co-wrote the screenplay. Seth MacFarlane produced and must have kibitzed because some of the comedy had a whiff of him at his best, like in the case of his profane teddy bear movie, Ted. The result here is a lovingly stupid comedy triumph that comes in at under 90 minutes, including end credit hijinks that have to be seen. Look, no, not every joke is going to land, and humor is so subjective, but you are peppered with so many that it's hard not to be amused a lot of the time, which is why we watch comedies. By the way, in a sweet postscript to The New Naked Gun, Neeson and Anderson apparently fell in love while making the movie and are now an official couple.
Are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you.
That is unreal.
You know, Neeson swore off romance after his wife died.
His wife died. Yeah.
And she was a wonderful actress herself, and part of the Redgrave clan. And, you know, I think it's great.
That is unreal.
So The Naked Gun is in theaters.
Pam Anderson is now with Liam Neeson.
What?
And
I know,
she's wonderful. You know, if you didn't see The Last Showgirl, you should try to rent it or watch it on streaming. It's a bravura performance by Ms. Anderson, who has got her mojo back after years in the wilderness. Anyway, let us move on. Speaking of celebrity couples, Dave Franco and Allison Brie, real life husband and wife, are co-starring in a very good, appropriately creepy horror movie. I couldn't go a week without kind of reviewing a
Gotta
horror
play
movie.
play your horror.
Together is a fine example of the body horror genre with chills and more than a few moments of queasiness and unease, but it's also got some provocative ideas about how scary it can be to try and sustain a romantic pairing and how love can overwhelm you. You kind of lose yourself in somebody. In Together, a long-term relationship between teacher Millie and musician Tim is losing steam in the big city, and they hope it's going to be rejuvenated by a move to a rural small town where Millie has scored a teaching job that she thinks is going to be more gratifying than the one she had in the city. Smaller classes, helping her to connect better with the students. Musician Tim is not so sure since he's been offered a gig as a guitarist with a touring band. So there's a lot of conflict inherent in the relocation, which is exacerbated by a strange, mystical power that lurks in the woods near their new home in the boonies. And what transpires is clever, it's witty, and sometimes grotesque, and it's greatly assisted in its truth, in its verity, by the genuine intimacy of its two leads. And it's a pretty sharp critique of people whose individual identities become submerged in couplehood.
Oh, wow.
So filmmaker Michael Shanks wrote the script and directed Together, which is ruthless in the best possible way. And Franco and Brie are the ideal embodiments of Shanks' ooey gooey treatise on relationship drama turned trauma. We're all really familiar with that cutesy trope where a twosome is so close that they finish each other's sentences, you know. Anyway, Together takes the idea of you complete me to gruesome extremes.
Oh my God, I can kind of figure out what's happening.
Well, I don't want to blow too much of it. Getting there is all the fun here.
Sure.
And Together is in theaters.
All right.
And this is two I recommended. Now, here's another one. I can't believe this is such a fruitful week for decent films. There is great voice work and kind of antic, manic, stylish animation in The Bad Guys. Those were hallmarks of the movie, a surprisingly fresh cartoon comedy about a thieving gang of anthropomorphic animals led by a canny, dapper wolf, voiced by my one-time neighbor on San Francisco's Russian Hill, the always terrific Sam Rockwell. Love that guy. He used to sit in the cafe, the Royal Grounds Cafe, reading scripts, and he was cool. Nobody bothered him. You know, he wasn't all that famous at the time.
At the time, right.
But I knew who he was. I would give him, the pistol guns or a little nod now and again. Anyway, I'm happy to report that the sequel, The Bad Guys 2, from DreamWorks Animation, is also a lot of fun as it recounts the adventures of the bad guys after they attempt to go straight. Now, the bad guys, just FYI, include, and I'll tell you their voice actors as well, Mr. Snake, voiced by our pal from San Francisco many years ago, Mark Maron, who's having a bit of a resurgence as an actor and, much deserved. Craig Robinson as Mr. Shark, kind of a master of disguise, big, burly, and yet, he pulls the wool over people's eyes. Anthony Ramos as Mr. Piranha. Aquafina as Ms. Tarantula, who's kind of a tech genius. And, these guys are out there doing their thing, and it's pretty funny and very enjoyable. And, the cops and the public at large, who, by the way, are mostly humans, don't believe that the bad guys have reformed. They've done their time, and now they're trying to do good. Yeah, by the way, the real miscreants here, the ones who caused trouble, besides the evil genius guinea pig, Rupert Marmalade IV, who was the villain in the first movie and voiced by Richard Ayoade, are the bad girls, who are also criminal anthropomorphic animals. And these bad girls have a high-tech heist in mind. It's going to be the greatest robbery in history, unless the bad guys and their one ally, the governor, can stop them. It's Ocean's 11 meets Mission Impossible, only in cartoon form. It is fast, furious, and frenzied fun that, kind of like the Fast and Furious films, does get more outlandish as it careens to a climax. And that's right, an animated movie about talking animal felons gets more outlandish as it goes along. And that doesn't stop it from being good all ages entertainment. A quick cast note, the bad girls are voiced by Danielle Brooks as the kitty cat, Natasha Lyonne who also plays another of the animals, and Maria Bakalova as the pig creature. I just got a kick out of it. The bad guys too.
Bad guys too.
It's
He likes it.
family entertainment that worked for me.
I'm loving it.
Okay, my sleeper pick of the week is the on-the-road thriller She Rides Shotgun, which is about an ex-con and his wary 11-year-old daughter who are on the run from people who want to kill them. Now, I love real film noir, not just comedy film noir like The Naked Gun. And She Rides Shotgun is noir with big stakes, the well-being of an innocent kid being the central one here. It comes in at 2 hours on the nose, and I was riveted to the screen from start to finish. In She Rides Shotgun, Taron Egerton is a force of nature as Nathan, a desperate man trying to reconnect with the daughter he barely knows while he does everything in his power to keep her safe. Edgerton is like you've never seen him in previous movies, like the Elton John biopic, Rocket Man, where he played, Mr. John.
He's unbelievable in his ability to transform himself into a role, physically transform himself, and of course, from an acting standpoint, just inhabit a role. He's really something else.
And he first broke big in the spy spoof Kingsman, where he was a working class Yabo who becomes a suave secret agent. He's so good here. And Anna Sophia Heger is revelatory as Nathan's estranged daughter, Polly, a vulnerable child torn from her normal suburban life and thrust into a life or death situation where she has to do whatever she can to survive. On top of the excellent work by Edgerton and Heger, who sell their developing rapport under duress, there is a surprisingly effective performance by John Carroll Lynch, who is so likable as the avuncular cop on the current TV show Ballard. Here, he's playing a considerably more hard-ass lawman, and you're like, it's not the same guy. And of course, you can't mistake who he is. Big burly guy, very familiar. So director Nick Rowlands did a film in 2020, which was incredibly impactful. It was called The Shadow of Violence, and it had a similar vibe to this one that he's done. That one had a story of an Irish boxer turned mob enforcer who's trying to protect his autistic son. Here, of course, it's again a parent-kid situation. Roland does so well with this adaptation of Jordan Harper's novel, which is titled She Rides Shotgun. And by the way, Jordan co-wrote the screenplay to this, so one would assume it's true to his book's vision. Whether it is or not, I got to say that She Rides Shotgun is among my favorite movies of the year, and I hope it doesn't fall through the cracks. It is in select theaters starting today.
Wow. You really like it. It's amazing. You're really going. You're on a run. What's next?
Okay. I wish I was a little more excited about this. We're going to have a few quickies for you. Anyone who knows me well knows of my affection for the Beat Generation writers and Jack Kerouac's books in particular, especially his major opus On the Road. So director Ebbs Burnau's new documentary, Kerouac's Road, The Beat of a Nation, was of particular interest to me. And it does have archival footage. It has narration of Kerouac's words done by Michael Imperioli, who you may recall from The Sopranos. It's got interviews with the likes of comedian and pundit W. Kamau Bell, who is a Bay Area favorite, Josh Brolin and Matt Dillon, the actors who were heavily influenced by Kerouac. Natalie Merchant, who wrote a song about Jack Kerouac when she was the lead singer of 10,000 Maniacs. And various people from his life who knew him, this singer-songwriter David Amram, Jay McInerney, who wrote
Sure.
Bright Lights, Big City, heavily influenced by Kerouac. He weighs in. And there's even an ex of his, Joyce Johnson, who they found her and they interview her. But all of this stuff, which is of immense interest to me, is interspersed with, I guess, three actual ongoing odysseys by modern day Americans of different stripe. And it doesn't really come together clearly. Some of it seemed gratuitous and didn't necessarily relate to Kerouac per se. I guess they were just showing that the American spirit is still one that is involved with people reaching out, finding new frontiers, going on the road, getting the feel of the country, themselves by actually going out there and traveling and meeting new people. But it just... that
Didn't
was
work for you.
Not totally. Aspects of it were good. And if you are, like me, interested in Kerouac and his work, yeah, it's worth a watch. I just kind of wish That had been the main thrust of the film, and I guess in ways it was, but
where can we not see it?
You cannot see it in select theaters right
All
now.
What else do you have?
Okay, let me see if I can zip through the rest of these. Because
Did you see Happy Gilmore, the second Happy Gilmore?
I'm going to get to that. I'm going to close out with that.
Okay.
Okay, so another movie that I was completely enamored of and unreservedly recommend is Suleiman's Story. Heartbreaking, compelling, insightful, and relevant. Suleiman's Story examines one African immigrant's motivations and burdens. It's an award-winning drama that could very well be a documentary itself and probably gets much of its story and Suleiman's story from real life. The character of Suleiman, powerfully and believably played by Abu Sangare, is up against a 2-day deadline and time is running out. Having made a perilous journey from his native Guinea to France, he's sleeping in Parisian shelters and working illegally as a food delivery guy on a bike. So he's short on cash and under unrelenting pressure, and he needs to prepare for an impending asylum interview, get ID papers, which will cost him. And again, he's got next to no money, and he has to memorize his story in order to convince a government interviewer that he deserves to be officially allowed into the country. It's directed and co-written by Boris Lojkin, and Suleiman's Story is like a tragedy-tinged look at the refugee experience that may leave you shattered, but I think it needs to be seen. And for the record, the movie won the Un Certain Regard Jury Prize, and Sangare won the Un Certain Regard Best Actor Award at the Cannes Film Festival.
It is in French?
It is primarily in French with English subtitles.
How do you say he won the award in French?
He wins the award. Yeah, I know. I was doing my Louis XVI impression again, but no, there you go. It's in select theaters, and I think it's going to have a good life on streaming. I hope it does. I hope people see it. And let's wrap up the movies with Happy Gilmore 2. I let it go last week.
No, that's in French, Happy Gilmore 2? No?
Oui, it is stupid. Anyway, if anyone actually thinks of Happy Gilmore 2 as a comedy hole-in-one, as suggested by one pull quote from a reviewer, possibly on the take, allow me to offer a counter opinion. It's a lowbrow, unfunny bogey. Get the golf reference.
I get it. Okay.
From start to finish, even if a few supporting players bring energy to the greens. You know, the Naked Gun. The Naked Gun is dumb. It's dumb, but it's genuinely funny. This is just a chore to watch, despite Julie Bowen, Christopher McDonald, Ben Stiller, Benny Safdie of the filmmaking Safdie brothers.
Wow.
Eminem, Bad Bunny, and a slew of real pro golfers and broadcasters. There are a lot of gratuitous cameos, some literally seconds long, but still wearying, as well as Sandler family members, including his daughter, Sunny, who, mea culpa. She was so good in the sweet comedy You Were Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah a couple years ago, but this is like, leagues less of a movie than that. For some reason, I have to point this out, no less than Margaret Qualley, well on her way to a serious and respected acting career.
Oh, yeah, sure. She's the daughter of
Andy McDowell.
Yeah.
And the talented comedian, actor, and writer Eric Andre. They appear in a couple short scenes as blithering Happy Gilmore fans. I'm not sure if they lost a bet or watched the.
What are they doing there? Is what you're saying?
Well, yeah, but they watched.
It's okay to say no, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe when they were kids, they watched the original Happy Gilmore, which was a better film than this, by the way.
Yeah.
And they were somehow honored to be asked to participate. But I immediately wanted to see Qualley and Andre co-star in a smartly written rom-com instead of this sand trap claptrap. This is particularly lame in the wake of the gratifying golf-themed comedy show Stick. I really cannot endorse Happy Gilmore 2. It's on Netflix, so, the caveat emptor.
Yeah. Wow. You've done a lot. People wanted to know what you thought of the Billy Joel documentary. Have you had a chance to see any of that?
I have not watched it as yet. I was never a big fan, but he's apparently a good guy.
Apparently, it's a really, there's some revelations along the way, and it's quite good.
I did love his album Allentown. That's the kind of only thing that I really kind of took a shine to when it was originally released. I didn't start the fire, Mark.
I want to, just to catch up, I do the thing where we just keep track of the words as opposed to dinging throughout. Assays was early on in your conversation. You used it. Exacerbated, you used.
That sounds right.
Verity, will ding it. And miscreants, I will ding. So that's,
thank you.
I might have missed some, but that's what I got. I do want to review, though, the important stuff quickly. Happy Gilmore 2, lowbrow, unfunny, chore to watch. That is a
Right.
that is a quote you won't see on a movie poster.
I said it earlier, comedy is subjective.
Suleiman's story, one African immigrant story. It's an immigrant story that is important. Abu Samgari, in the Samgari in the starring role. Michael really likes it and recommends it. It is primarily in French with subtitles. Kerouac's Road, The Beat of a Nation. Michael liked it, thought it was thorough. Somehow it just didn't quite land for you.
No, they incorporated the modern day, roadsters and people out there seeing America. It didn't congeal.
Congeal's a ding word. She Rides Shotgun, the ex-con and daughter on the run from bad guys who want to off them. Wow. It's noir, baby. It puts the N in noir. Taron Egerton and Michael Snyder, the culture blaster, likes it.
Very much. I would say loved it. I loved it.
She Rides Shotgun is in select theaters, and check to see if your theater's been selected. So The Bad Guys 2. Sam Rockwell, Mark Maron, Craig Robertson, Natasha Lyonne. I mean, my God, Maria Bakalova. It's a good one.
Yeah, it was fun.
Liked
it was fun. It's disposable fun, great family entertainment for those who
with
are
families
seeking it.
and who want to entertain their families.
Right.
Bad Guys 2, go see it. It's in theaters. Together is the Dave Franco, Allison Brie horror movie. It's body horror. Michael Shanks directed this drama turned trauma. It sounded intriguing.
Oh, it's good, man.
And you really liked it.
Yeah.
Together, it's called. It's a play on these two, on this couple, and it sounds as though something quite gross is going to happen.
Well, yeah, it's funny. There are funny moments, and it also is very, very pointed in its criticism of people that just get so close that you can't differentiate between them.
That's in theaters.
It is.
And then finally, and firstly, The Naked Gun. Michael says all the jokes are coming so fast, you may not like all of them, but there's one for everybody, and ultimately you will really enjoy it. He calls it a lovingly stupid comedy.
We need to laugh in this day and age. I just want to wrap up quickly. I know we don't have much time, but I'm waiting for Wednesday, the second season, to premiere on Netflix. So in the interim, I did watch the latest episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is the prequel to the original 1960s series on Paramount Plus, and it was a totally nutty romp. It was titled A Space Adventure Hour, and it featured one of the Enterprise crew, this is before Shatner, testing a prototype holodeck, which is the immersive 3D virtual reality playroom that was a regular feature on Star Trek The Next Generation. But I think that was just an excuse for a space adventure hour to have a little fun with the franchise's history, since the program in the holodeck in this episode was a 60s murder mystery set in Hollywood and involving the cast and producers of a fictional network science fiction show that was very much like the original Star Trek, with candy-colored sets and female crew members in miniskirts, and Paul Wesley, the guy who plays young Kirk on Strange New Worlds, portraying the Kirk-like captain of the spaceship on the faux Star Trek show with an overheated and halting delivery that was very much like an over-the-top takeoff on Shatner himself. It was a hoot, Mr. Spock.
I don't know how we're going to see all of these in time to see Wednesday when it's dropped. Yeah, that's great. I can't wait to look at that. There it is. That's a screen grab from it. Tony's so good. Yeah. Nice job.
Thanks, Tony.
Wow. Well, you covered a lot, Michael Snyder. You really covered a lot.
I'm out of breath, Mark.
And I got a compliment. I always like, they're so seldom do I get one. Richard Delamater says, what a brilliant idea, saving the ding words till the end. Mark, you're a genius from the future. I mean, finally somebody realizes I'm a genius from the future.
Yeah, Mark Trek.
Michael, enjoy the Grateful Dead in Golden Gate Park if you decide to go, and all of the other stuff you check out because you're a big, you're a patron of the arts. You're a culture blaster.
We will see how the Giants do, the refurbished, retooled Giants do, starting tonight in New York against the Mets.
I love that. Can't wait. Starts at 4 o'clock Pacific. Hey, I am hopeful that people will check out your writing, because I think you're a brilliant writer, and your brilliance comes out in the writing at Voice of, what is it?
TheVoiceSF.org, baby. TheVoiceSF.org. Me and the professor are both
Rothman's on there
affiliated.
too. TheVoiceSF.org. Thank you, Michael. He comes and goes on a rainbow.
Maybe a little late.
The Culture Blaster, everybody. Bravo, Michael.
Thank you, buddy.
You are the real thing. It's terrific when you come in. Now, quick note to all of our stations. We have run long. And in order so as not to completely KO the after party live, we will postpone Friday Fabulous Florida
What?
to next week, I
But
think.
people wait for it. People need it.
I don't know.
What?
I'm so
What kind of show is this?
I don't know what to do. And Tony has that look in his eye like, hey, man, I got to get to the Angels game. I got to get to my other 40 jobs. Yeah, let me just get out of here. I don't mean to read too much into your look, but it looks like to me like, hey, hurry it up already.
Production might be in my emails right now.
I know I'm getting a lot of in the chat. I'm getting a lot of pushback. Well, I'm open to suggestions. I can't do a full Friday Fabulous Florida right now.
How about we run a 10-second clip of an alligator stealing a shoe? Because I feel like that will give us just a taste of Florida.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
then
so here's what we'll
be
do.
on our merry way. Yeah.
This is a segment we typically run on Fridays. It's a thing that we've done for years from the radio. We brought it over to the new podcast. Go ahead, Tony. This is an alligator.
Well, she was trying to scare the alligator away from the deer. So
yeah,
she
there are a
threw
bunch
shoe.
of deer there, and there's an alligator closing in on the deer. And so, is it a woman?
Yes.
She throws a shoe at the alligator, and to her credit, it was a direct hit. And the alligator does turn and move back toward the body of water. And then she picks up the shoe again, and she throws it at him again, like to get rid of him. And this time it bounces off of him, landing in front of him. And then he eats the shoe that's landed in front of him. He takes it back to his body of water. And she saved the deer is the good news, but lost the shoe is
Saved the deer, lost the shoe.
Bad news.
Yeah.
Saved the deer, lost the shoe.
Thanks to
Really,
Tony
really
for that
cool.
video. That's awesome.
Yeah. Bravo, Tony. Thank you, everybody who sends us Florida stuff, and I'm really apologizing for the fact that we couldn't get it in. I thought we had a really great show today. If
Yep.
you haven't checked it out in its entirety, please do. Great guests in the first hour and great guests in the second hour that you're used to, but some special guests in the first hour. Keep on keeping on, says Gordon. Thank you, Gordon, for the super chat, $5 super chat. Appreciate that.
Big shout out.
And big shout out to Harry Magnan, too, with the $5 super chat. This is for the Trump Library, says this $5. He needs at least one book that hasn't been colored in. Yeah, he's not a big one for the reading. Kathleen Schmidt, how about you, Kathleen?
Big shout out.
Love your avatar, and I love your contribution to the show, the super sticker for $10. Thank you. Richard Delamater with $5. We gave Richard some love at the beginning of the show. You guys, why wouldn't you put a call out to me, your resident rock expert? The Mark Thompson Show weed smoker is going to the Dead Show tonight.
Oh.
Ask me next time, he says.
Where are my weed smokers at?
I'll tell you. There's one of them. We know where one of them is going to be. And he says, remember, I'm the Keith Richards of the MTS Show. He does love his substances, but he sent me a picture of him on the pickleball court. He's an active guy.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Friday from the sweaty A-crack of the South in Florida, says Wes. Wes is our Floridian. Thank you,
Hot
Wes.
down there. Yeah.
It's the MTS community really rocking it. Appreciate it. What a week it has been. There has been all kinds of news and craziness. Stay cool and be kind, says CBD. You guys are all after me always when I'm on radio and I don't tell you about it. I'll just mention it that I'm on radio in Los Angeles today on the iHeartRadio app for Conway. So it'll be 4 o'clock Pacific time, 7 o'clock Eastern. I'm not telling you to listen. I don't care whether you do or not. I'd rather you you make this appointment listening, but I do love KFI, and I do love Conway, and I love that place. So it's a very different show than this, but I really do adore it. So now I've told you about it, so you'll be aware. Thank you for great content. Have a great weekend, y'all, says Obi-Wan. Thank you, everybody. And now, the great Shadow Stevens, please.
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
Cam, love you. Thank you, Tony, love you.
All the time. Bye-bye.
All the time. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone. And until Monday, have a good weekend. Bye-bye.